I've got on my site under my story.
Oh yeah, I was gonna
I've got
ask.
I've got the first part. I've got the first part of the chapter one of my book going on. It's of course it's under construction, and at the bottom of it, I wrote, "Let the record show that I was granted full custody of my order of protection on 5/1/2009, case number 09AN-FC0054, ORI number MO 102033J, signed 5109 by Sandra M. West, 37th Judicial Court." I also put this stuff, basically the parental kidnapping stuff. In the absence, this is Missouri Revised Statutes. It says 565.153.1, in the absence of a court order determining rights of custody or visitation to a child, the person having a right of custody of a child commits the crime of parental kidnapping if he or she removes, takes, detains, conceals, or entices away that child within or without the state without good cause and with the intent to deprive the custody right of another person or public agency also having a custody right to that child. Parental kidnapping is Class D felony. Of course, it goes on for the further you keep the child away, the bigger the felony. 565.156.1, a person commits a crime of child abduction if he or she intentionally takes, detains, entices, conceals, or removes a child from a parent after being served with process in an action affecting marriage or paternity, but prior to the issuance of a temporary or final order determining custody, which is my case. Even though I was granted full custody and protection order, even though it was dropped, my paternity suit was in that same week. So basically, it says intentionally takes, detains, entices, conceals, or removes a child from a parent after being served with process in an action affecting marriage or paternity, but prior to an issuance of a temporary final order determining custody, which is so my case. So that's child abduction and parental kidnapping. Nobody cares to do anything. I mean, this is right in the statute. This is UCC. This is the Admiralty UCC law. This is what everybody goes by. Um, not, not even worry about common law. This is what everybody's by in the state. This is state statute, and because, she has a vagina, she gets away with this shit.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
I mean, you could even read it. I read it to you in the absence of a court order, and then the next one it goes, intentionally takes, detains, from a child, a parent after being served with process, which she was served with process. It took me 8 months to track this bitch down. Action affecting marriage or paternity, but prior to an issuance of a temporary or final order determining custody.
Mm-hmm. I was wondering how big your population is, how many people this is happening to the exact same way.
Apparently a lot. Um, you know, um, and what's fucked up was she was born in Florida. We moved up to Missouri from Florida. And she has my daughter has my last name, and I'm on the birth certificate. I've got copies of it. You know,
Now they just make it so that we're the ones that sit and suffer
yeah,
and bleed your bank accounts.
yeah, pretty much. Um, and my attorney cares about his money.
That's all most of them care about.
Yeah, and she went screaming to her attorney about some shit. And I've actually got it on my website exactly what she said. Because, she was being pissy about, me having a website or even speaking about it on Facebook. Let's see, let me get right to it. Photos and documents. she went to her attorney, who is, by the way, she is illegally obtained because she's actually working under the table. Um, like I said, I had to become my own investigator. Um, and basically, she went to her attorney and she said there was 5 things that I said on Facebook. However, on my website, it has red brackets around this stuff. It says, my daughter and I have spent every weekend together since her mother and I split up, and blah, 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 blah. It's actually a YouTube description to a video that another guy made up. It's not what I said. It was just posted on my wall. However, I did say, and it says, Drew Buss, because of possible impending slander litigation, because she was saying that I was slandering her on Facebook, which is absolutely legally and lawfully impossible because slander is spoken and libel is written. I must refrain from questioning the exes, and I've never ever mentioned names. I must refrain from questioning the exes and her counsel's intimate habits with animals and other fine expletives, nor will I post unsubstantiated claims that may expose her boyfriend's addiction with gay porn and competitive donkey filching.
What the fuck?
No, I actually wrote that. And she went to her lawyer about it. Like, this is a paternity action, okay? A paternity action. Number 3, I was attacked with a car where she was subsequently arrested. She broke into my home after being told by law enforcement not to return. She put medications in my food and then told others she did so. She forged my signature on my tax returns in order to steal the money. Is this slander? Come on, let's play this game. Bring it. And here's another statement that she went to her attorney on. She goes, I said, yes, it was harmful when I was attacked with a vehicle poison and they broke my dog's back to try to get me to violate a protection order. Yes, it has been hurtful that I had 4 days with my daughter after a year and a half of legal fighting, and I'm still not legally her father, yet they want to increase retroactive child support from the day she kidnapped my child. My response to that, that's actually in this letter on my page, is Drew Buss. Well, her and her counsel can kiss my hairy pink ass. Please file the appropriate paperwork and try to stop my right to free speech. Okay?
I like
I
it.
haven't heard a word back yet. I mean, that was, what was that, October 19th, 2010. You know?
Can't do anything.
Well, because if the truth is proof against slander or libel, and I've got shit to back this up. This is exactly what fucking happened. While we were under the protection order, both protection orders, I left my dog up there because I was going to return to my home eventually.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna ask.
I had a neighbor taking care of her. Mind you, this is a dog that my daughter grew up with and played dress up with. You know, somebody broke her back with a baseball bat.
No way.
Yeah, and there was a little miracle happened that the mortgage company had called me and slipped and gave me her new cell phone number, which ended at 2030. Well, at the time, this was the day I was supposed to be showing up in court, but they didn't tell them that it was put off. So all they knew that I was supposed to be in court the next day with them. So this happened the evening before I was supposed to go to court to get me thrown off, off kilter. So basically they fucking, beat my dog with a baseball bat, broke her back, and she had to be put down. In the middle of this, she had her son call my cell phone and ask him to, say, well, what do you want to do about Sheila, which was my dog? And then he was stupid enough to leave the number a few seconds later, and I still have this recorded in my phone. He calls back and says, my phone is dying and stuff like that, because he had his own cell phone, and I have that number as well. So he was calling from his mother's cell phone by his mother's wish and on his mother's direction, and then he left the cell phone number for me to call back. However, if I would have called back that number, I would have violated the protection order and done 4 years in fucking jail. Not even in front of a judge, just fucking go to jail. Here you go.
Automatic.
However, them trying to violate it, in so doing, they violated the orders that I had. You know?
But nothing happens to them.
No, nothing. So you see how funky that was. And that's not the only one. I mean, she's hacked my accounts. I've got proof of her hacking my Skype that I set up. It has her fucking her Yahoo address. I've got that proof. I've got the recorded proof. I've even turned the right after I got the protection order, my mother had come up and brought the little mini trailer behind the car because, you know, she took my car and she was allowed to take my car. And basically, she, you know, during these protection orders, you cannot contact either one of the parties by any means, by any manner, which means if I told you to go tell her, fuck you, I would violate the order, even through a third party. Okay, if they wave to you, it's violating the protection order. So as she's driving away after she's stealing my shit from the house next door, she flips my mother and I off. I turned her in to the police, wrote out a statement, so did my mother. Nobody's done anything about it. Yeah, here's what's some fucked up shit. I found out after a year or so trying to get my records from the two times that she was, the police were called out and she was made to leave because she was the violent one. Thank God for the local cops. See, my mom was a dispatcher for 15 years, okay, in DeLand, Florida. And they have, you know, call in, the call's recorded, they send somebody out, you know, there's a disposition, somebody writes it up when the policeman comes out or a sheriff comes out, it's all a write-up real quick, boom, done. No. Apparently in Podunk, Nowhere, Missouri, in the Ozarks, if a police officer doesn't arrest anybody, they don't write it up. There's no report. When you call into 911, they don't have even a hand recording device. They write it down in a book.
How that's pretty hillbilly-ish.
It's worse than hillbilly-ish.
Fuck.
It's bullshit.
It's laziness is what it is. Because obviously, oh, we've got no arrests. Well, then we don't need to do any paperwork. Let's go have a donut and coffee.
Yeah, the call's not recorded. None of the calls are recorded. They just write them down in a logbook. What the hell good is that?
It's no good.
Fuck. But they have, all these wonderful cars and weapons and shit. Of course, they've only got one deputy on duty for the entire fucking county, one of the biggest counties in Missouri. Right. And it's only one deputy on duty in the county at any time. Well, except for like at night, because they go home at night.
Yeah.
In Somersville, at that particular time, the sheriff was only there in name only to keep the charter going for the town. A town of like 400 people. Okay, so and the 4 times that they broke into my home after all this shit happened and started stealing more shit, I kept reporting it, and the one Deputy Fish, who's no longer with the force because he was just inept, said to report it to Somersville, which Somersville is across the county line. And the crime didn't occur in Somersville. It's out of their jurisdiction.
Why would he say that? Again, because of laziness?
Yes. Failure to do their job.
Sounds like a typical thing now.
They're like, well, how do you know they broke in? Well, because somebody jimmied my back door with a fucking crowbar. How do you know when somebody shoots you in the fucking leg, it hurts and it's a big sound? How do you know they broke in, idiot?
That's what he asked you?
Yeah, how do you know they broke in? Well, I'm standing here next to his jimmied door. The door's hanging open and it was jimmied.
Would you like
with
to
a big fucking crowbar.
Yeah.
No one came out. I requested the state police. They told them not to come.
That's morbid.
The only thing they advised me to do They said if someone is on your property in Missouri, the laws have changed. If someone's breaking into your shed, you can legally shoot them. Great. Well, that's good to know. So either I get killed in the middle of the night, or somebody burns my shit down in the middle of the night, or I blow somebody away. And now I'm facing a murder charge.
You don't get away with it if it's on your property?
Yeah, you do. But you know something? It's easy to say it's okay to shoot them when you're a police officer. However, you know, I was getting different rules. The state police were telling me completely different than the county was telling me. Okay? County's like, no. And even the state police warned me not to drive past where she was supposedly staying at, because I was trying to get the damn house number to send the state police over there. They said I couldn't even drive down the same street at the posted speed limit, or else they would throw me in jail. But the county's like, oh, no, you can do anything you want. It's a public roadway. Well, the state police trumps county, and they told me not to fucking do it. Well, don't listen to them. Really? They are the state police. You're the county police.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah, and both of these motherfuckers told me to leave the state for my own protection. Because I was the reasonable one. Yeah. Ain't that a bitch?
Sounds like it. Well.
Even studying the laws, they're so fucking crooked it's not funny.
Oh, yeah.
And basically, like this shit that she went to her legal aid attorney. Now, mind you, she's selling armor and a secretary for Frank Wren, also known as Sir Waldrick, in the medieval society known as Society for Creative Anachronisms, through Phoenix Steel. It's a company in Springfield, Missouri. She works there and drives a drug route that he owns. He's a subcontractor for, what's the name of that company? Anyway, basically,
drugs?
Yeah, pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
Okay. She was an LPN, right? Mm-hmm. And what I found out through the last year of investigations is that she left her work and would never speak about why she left and how she could never work as a nurse again. Though people tried to pry it out of her, so did I. Come to find out, there was an investigation of her stealing medication. She would come home with bags of it. I had no idea that if you're a nurse, you find an aspirin on the ground, you have to have another nurse go with you to the bathroom and sign off that you put it in the toilet and destroyed it. I didn't know it wasn't like a construction thing where if you they said, here, take some 2x4s home with you. You know, I didn't know. I didn't realize. I do now.
No, it's not like you just walk, I think I'm going to grab some morphine today. But they do it. So what was she doing with all these, she was stealing it, she was probably, what, selling it?
Whatever. I mean, I know she gave some to her boyfriend for blood pressure. It's called ASEP Land Express, and they don't know that she left her job under investigation for stealing medication.
They will now. I've been recording, so.
Yeah. ASAP Land Express, Riverside, Missouri. Yeah. And the main boss, the main subcontractor is Bob Hood, who also co-owns Phoenix Steel, and she's she's working under the table. She's getting food stamps, Medicaid. She's also getting legal aid illegally, improperly.
How is she getting that?
Well, she cried poverty. And apparently you don't have to prove what you make. Or she made up some stuff. So she's getting all this stuff illegally, but mind you, she's saying she's disabled. She's getting Medicaid, food stamps, and legal free legal aid. However, she's in the Society for Creative Anachronisms. Her name is Doe-Nee Flynn, or Doe in society, and she jousts. She's a marshal in charge of the equestrian activities. There's a big war called the Gulf Wars in Mississippi, and thousands of people show up from the entire known world, from all different kingdoms. And she was in charge of that last year, the year before, excuse me, 2010, where she was taking money for stall fees and helping run the entire event for the equestrians. And joust and ride horses. I mean, she's not disabled. She's not only doing this stuff, but also working under the table for Frank Gren, aka Waldrick, and Stacey O'Flynn is a criminal. That's all I can say, really. She's a criminal. I mean, she signed my taxes to get them. She forged my name on my taxes. She forged her name on a loan.
You would think that now that shit's exposed, that maybe they do something about it. So maybe we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, I mean.
But you created a website and still it did nothing, right? So far.
So far, nothing. I mean, people have patted me on the back and stuff, but
as far as policing and stuff like that, they still just turn a blind eye to this shit.
Right. I mean, and what I've learned is that I mean, on my site, I put all the pertinent stuff up, basically about how her ex parte order against me, mine against hers. My birth certificate, the DNA with my daughter. She has my last name I'm on the birth certificate. She was born in Florida. Of course, none of that matters. And come to find out, after looking through all this stuff and started studying the law and criminal justice, I realized that I actually was granted because there was two competing orders, and even my attorney said they're done improperly, but he said there's nothing else they could put in place. I said, well, why do you use them? It's ridiculous. Now, what I found out later on was if you have two competing orders from the same judge, you go, just like in the military, you go by the last order given. And basically, if they conflict, you go by the last order given. And mine was the last order given, so mine had priority and wiped out the first one. And in my order, which was the second one given, I was given full custody. And I started my paternity petition on the same day. Excuse me, on that same week. So it was like 5/3. I started the paternity paternity case, and filed it. I think it was on 5/4. It was in the middle of. It was the early part of May. So. And she was allowed to take my daughter and disappear. I found out later on that year she was dumped on Amy Count for several months and abandoned, and then she was sent with her eldest son Darren Armstrong to California to Stacy's sister, to a person that my daughter's never met, didn't know, and was dumped out there the whole summer. Darren Armstrong only stayed a week and then returned, and my daughter actually returned at the end of the summer by herself on the plane at like 7 years old. And this was specifically to keep me from my daughter.
Do you know where your ex is now with the child?
Yeah, I had to track her down so they could serve her with papers. She's supposed to be moving again,
Oh, of course.
Um, but I mean, nobody's helped me out. Nobody's done anything. The police won't do anything. I've got a stolen car, a stolen firearm. I had to do all the investigations myself. I pretty much handed everything to everybody on a plate, and so far nobody's done shit.
So you think about it though, if this firearm is used in a murder, then they'd be held liable then, wouldn't they? Because they didn't go and collect the stolen firearm.
Pretty much, if I wanted to go work for Homeland Security, I couldn't do it because I've got a firearm missing, outstanding somewhere. That would show up on my background check because, you know, through the ATF it's registered to me. I know exactly where my firearm is. I know exactly where my stolen car is. Matter of fact, the stolen car and the stolen rifle was given to Michael Buch, B-U-C-H, who is now 18, who goes to Summersville High School. Was given to him by his mother, Stacy O'Flynn. Okay? And the police told me, they said, and they've got all the stuff in their drawer, all the investigation stuff. It was given to her, given to him by her, and they said, well, she's liable for it as well because she's the one who broke the law. She pulled the gun, pulled the trigger lock off and gave it to him. Now, here's something funny. He was driving this thing around without any insurance or around any proper tags. He was pulled over several times. Then he
In the
did
stolen
something.
vehicle.
This is my vehicle, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was left to walk. That vehicle was supposed to have, you know, be for Stacy from the courts and stuff like that because we co-owned it together. But you can't sell that thing or scrap it without me. Okay? It says and, not or. And that rifle is flat out mine, and the car, the half of that car is mine. I bought the damn thing. Okay? And the title that I've just sent away for says and it's got my name on it. Okay? You can't sell it. You can't do anything without my signature, but that doesn't stop her in the past. So what they did was he burnt it up a little bit. It had a little fire in it, and it was towed from my farmhouse that we co-own together, that Amy Cow, who used to be her buddy, is renting. And Stacy embezzled all the money for an entire year. That's why it's going to be sold real soon on the courthouse steps in foreclosure. And she counted that money as an expense instead of income to legal aid. She says that she pays $300 in her interrogatories to Frank Wren, who is actually her fiance. So that's not an expense. She's not spending that money. She's also working on a table. So anyway, let's get back to the car. The car was burnt up a little bit in the front. So what does he do? He takes a stolen car over to Summersville High School. And I talked to the principal about this. And he said he would handle this stuff and get back with me, and he'll be the liaison. I've got the whole thing recorded. And he said he was really upset because he said, well, you know, what this has done is left the entire school system in the high school open to litigation. I said, yes, it has. And, you know, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but I want my stuff back. I want some reparations. I want somebody's ass in a sling, you know, because he says, well, I'll go talk to this kid. I'll go talk to Michael, and I'll get the firearm back myself, and blah, blah, blah. I've got all that recorded. And that was a month or so ago. I haven't heard back from him. And he only called me back after I went to the, I called up the superintendent and asked him why they were running a chop shop with stolen cars. So what they did is they brought it over, they towed it, I hooked up with the, I got in touch with a kid who towed it from my home. You know, I told him, I said, you didn't know anything about it, but this was actually stolen at the time. Because once it was out of Stacy's hands, it was no longer hers. He towed it over to the high school where they pulled the engine in the high school shop from a stolen car. Michael told them that, oh, the title burned up in the car in the glove compartment, which the fire was not that extensive. However, they didn't bother to check. And then they sold it to A&Z Scrap Auto Salvage in Mountain View, Missouri. That's where my car is currently at. And when I go back up there real soon, I'll be, bringing the state police and videotaping where my car is at, because I've not only got the title, I've got the
It might have
VIN
already been
number.
grinded though.
I've got the VIN number, I've got the, I've got the serial number, I've got the whole 9 yards. I know where it is, and it's just trying to get anybody to do anything. I mean, my God, this is a stolen vehicle and a stolen rifle,
And they're
they're
doing
just
fuck all.
sitting around in their asses, not doing anything. I even told them where it is and who took it.
Not only that, but you got a similar case to Jim too. That it's like a kidnapping case.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is just the little shit. Well, felonies aren't little shit, but
But
I've
compared to
even
the big
I've even
picture.
given them photographs of Michael Book holding this rifle December before last. Okay, picture proof. Here you go. That's my rifle. Went to the manufacturer's website, got a picture of my rifle. It's a Marlin 17 HMR. Here you go. Here's everything. Here's the serial number. Here's the picture. Here's the picture of the kid holding it. He's still in possession of it. Here's where he lives. Here's his picture. Do I need to help you to the car?
I'm wondering. Yeah. You said that she poisoned you and this shit.
Yeah.
That shit. They did nothing about that.
They did nothing about that. I brought my computer and all the stuff that I found in my computer to them, and the sheriff at the time of Shannon County said he looked at what was in the computer. And I told her how she was acting and what she was doing and what she admitted to me about poisoning me and stuff like that. She even told my mom about it. And I showed him what I found. I didn't even say, hey, she was trying to kill me. I showed him what I found in my computer, and they said, well, the sheriff goes, well, she didn't do it, but she was planning it, and that's good enough for me. And they called in a state detective. State detective had to come about an hour away from a football game from his kid, or a baseball game, dressed in plain clothes. And they both said, yeah, this looks really bad.
Okay.
They said, do some more digging on your own and see if you can come up with anything.
What?
I shit you not. Right?
And who is this guy? Where is he at?
This was a state police detective and the entire police force of Shannon County, Missouri. Basically, not the entire police force. There was Deputy Fish and the former sheriff of Shannon County.
So don't rely on these guys.
Well, absolutely not. I mean, there's one good guy that I know of that I actually have talked with and met and stuff like that. And he's trying to handle this case, but it really hasn't come to fruition yet. I mean, of course, they won't comment on any kind of action that they're taking, but...
Well, you kind of think that for attempted murder, she'd be arrested by now.
Yeah, conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, yeah. You would think. I've even got the pills with her fingerprints on them that was swept into a little container. She knew what kind of medication I was on. I was on Prozac. Of course, half the damn world is, and so is some dogs.
And of course, she also did deliveries for drug companies.
Yeah, she does now, but she was a nurse, so she knows all the chemical interactions. And the stuff that she was giving me, she was on psychotropic medication because she has severe dissociative disorder, narcissistic type, which is a term for narcissistic disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, which means, a person like that can actually walk up to you, stab you in the neck, and walk away and convince themselves it wasn't them. That's how crazy these people are. I told them about this. I told them she was taking psychotropic medication. She was under like 3 different doctors' care, the whole 9 yards, and still nothing. They allowed her to, steal all my shit. A Deputy Fish was standing sitting in my driveway. And I was filling out the papers because he had given me the order of protection. I was having to sign it. And her and her friends had gotten pickup trucks, literally stealing everything I had. Took the dog food, took the no trespassing sign, Now, mind you, this was a trailer next door to the farmhouse that I completely owned. Okay, it was paid for, right? This was my home, but I let her stay in for a little while because the heater was broken the next door, and she let the place get moldy, so it had to be cleaned out. And out of the goodness of my heart, I let her stay with me, and my daughter had a room over there, in my place, right? And I had been my daughter's primary caregiver until she was 6. When she started kindergarten, she was reading at a 5th grade level because of me. Okay, her mother didn't read to her. Her mother didn't give a damn. I was the one at 3 o'clock in the morning feeding my child. Okay, okay. She hardly did anything but run her mouth about me to everybody else. You know, by the time I had a child with this crazy bitch, I was done for. She knew I was. She knew I was going to. She knew I was going to stay for the child, and so basically, you know, I'm in a catch-22. I can't get anybody to do anything legally. Um, I have been working with state investigators and federal investigators for several other crimes that she's committed. That I have, just like absolute proof, I've written it up. I had to learn how to be an investigator. I had to teach myself the art of private investigation. But then again, if I start, you know, snapping photographs of her or whatever, it's considered stalking because I'm personally involved. Um, but I can do other things, and what I have done is put together and learned how to put together these cases, and I've just pretty much laid them at the feet of all these different investigators. So I don't know. Time will tell. There's 2 federal investigators and
Hello again, welcome back to Stolen. I'm JD, and I just want to get straight to the next guy, so I'm just gonna.
The other therapist. Well, nice lady, I might add. And so I tried. You do the psych eval. I mean, I tried everything I could do to get it done. We got it all on recording. I just can't get it to PDF file.
It covered my children. Not having any communication. It infringed on my rights. Everything. So anyways, I found out that my Facebook was deleted, my emails were deleted at 9 years, everything gone. There was nothing. I mean, she deleted and she erased me. Everywhere I looked, I was hearing, like, history, all my paperwork, everything I had, things gone, but most important, my children. My son was my best buddy. My oldest son was playing video games. I could sit in the park with no one to see, Dad, you stay home on the computer. Back on the 21st. Changed my court order. The court order had to be changed back to Ontario because I had no contact with anybody in Quebec. I went to legal aid that same day. The appointment was set. When I arrived at legal aid, the guy was so ignorant and rude to me. He didn't even want to listen to me. He didn't even change. Look at the court order. Oh, you live in Ontario. You're not a resident of Quebec anymore. Sorry, we can't help you. He denied me the criminal legal certificate. He found me as a family right and the civil that I did.
That is because there's a whole throwdown, showdown about what someone says on Facebook they can use against you in court so you don't get your kid back. Which is bullshit. I was pretty much telling this guy the same thing. He's bullshit. He's not in agreement with his phone call being recorded. Well, buddy, could be in a freaking legalized kidnapper and taking our freaking kids away. They're just sitting on their sick deal. Yeah, those groups are good, yeah. These little fake little community groups. Yeah, they're pretty sick. Those things go around.
Crimes that this woman has committed, I can't even remember them to list them. I have to go back to my notes. Yeah, I mean, she's getting food stamps for somebody, for a kid that doesn't even live with her.
Harsh.
Yeah, she's working under the table, driving drug routes for Frank Wren, and working at Phoenix Steel LLC in Springfield, Missouri. Okay, and you can see it on the website. It actually says, she puts in parentheses Doe, and that's her nickname, Donnie Flint. And you know, it's like, you know, and nobody realizes what she's doing because she's a narcissistic personality. She can literally, you know, shoot somebody and then turn around. Oh, I didn't do that. It wasn't me. But I was able to actually get a 4-day visit last August with my daughter because she was out of town at Penzic for 2 weeks. She was out of state. It went well. I had a great time with my daughter. And she was, you know, and this Christmas I sent up a little netbook so we could Skype back and forth, right? And it started out, and I paid for the account. Okay, she got on there. And then a day later, Stacy hacked my account. I've got proof of that. with her email address, hacked my Skype account that I paid for, took it over, right? I had to get it back from the company. The company won't do a damn thing about it. Then she got another Skype account with my daughter's name on it, the same thing. She's also gotten Facebook pages that I had to shut down with my daughter, who was having, you know, this guy Dave Bowden, this creepy old guy Dave Bowden, was you know, trying to be friends and talk with my daughter, who's, you know, 9 years old. Real inappropriate, and I don't know what the whole deal is with him or my ex, you know, and my daughter, but something doesn't smell right. It's kind of a little creepy. You know, I don't know what her deal is, but anyway, I just found out last Monday, and mind you, it was sporadically that I was talking to my daughter, right? And we had talked a couple times the first week and a couple times the second week, and then all of a sudden it stopped. And she just told me last Monday, that her mother said that I asked her, why are you only allowed to talk to me for an hour on Mondays? She said, well, Mom said that there was a court order. I said, well, sweetheart, I'm on CaseNet. I've talked with my attorney. There is no case. There is no court order. There is no judge's order. How do you know this? Oh, my mom showed me paperwork. Some legal. I said, did you read it? Because she reads on like an 8th grade level at 9 years old. I said, did you read it? She said, well, not really. You know, she kind of. I don't talk to my daughter about her mother and all that other crap. But you know, if she's being lied to about talking to me, there's an issue. I said, sweetheart, you know, I've never lied to you and never will. But that's untrue. And so basically, she's conned my daughter into thinking that there's a judge's order that we can only talk on Mondays to cut down any contact I have with my daughter. And it's pretty cold-blooded.
Fuck, more than cold-blooded.
Well, yeah, I mean...
It's pure concentrated fucking evil is what it sounds like.
Oh yeah, I mean... let's see, where is this thing here? Yeah, I mean, it's just bizarre. I mean, you know, she was able to kidnap my daughter, and nobody will do anything about it. No one will help. Although I'm helping other people, I'm studying, trying to understand the law and how it's applied. I'm studying criminal justice. I'm working with people that are going through CPS hell, although I haven't dealt with CPS hell except for the fact that I was a foster parent in Georgia. I'm also a Freemason, you know, so, but I've seen horrors in CPS, but this is one of the things I'm hoping to keep out of my case, but, I mean, I read to you some stuff earlier, I don't know if you recorded or whatever, but, it was the stuff on, the Missouri, revised Missouri statutes. It's basically, they pretty much apply to me. I wrote, said, let the record show that I was granted full custody, my order of protection, on 5/1/09, granted by Sandra M. West, 37th Judicial Court. Now, here's the Yeah, I mean, it's several times the police were called out, but prior to that, and the police left my daughter in my care after Stacy alleged that I was, you know, violent and hit her, but I was the only one with marks, and the police twice, and thank God they were decent people, and they didn't go by, you know, any kind of must arrest or primary aggressor laws, but then again, I had known them, we waved to each other all the time, I talked to them several times prior to that, but they made her leave and left my daughter with me in my home because she was being the aggressor. And on my website, which is freewebs.com/Drew Baas, B-A-A-S.
Oh,
you can find it on my Facebook, Drew Baas on Facebook.
Yeah, I'll put it as a link underneath the video.
Yeah, and basically, The Missouri Revised Statute 565.153.1 states, in the absence of a court order determining rights or custody or visitation to a child, the person having the right of custody of the child commits the crime of parental kidnapping, which means that's the person who has the child, if he removes, takes, detains, conceals, or entices away that child within or without the state, without good cause, and with the intent to deprive the custody right of another person or public agency also having a custody right to that child, which I had. And 565.156.1, a person commits the crime of child abduction if he or she intentionally takes, detains, entices, conceals, or removes a child from a parent after being served with process, and she was, in an action affecting marriage or paternity, which I have just a paternity action, but prior to the issuance of a temporary order or final order determining custody. That is child abduction. That is a felony. It's parental kidnapping. And anyone aiding and abetting is guilty of the same. So, I mean...
So she's dragging down a lot of people with her.
Yeah, if somebody will actually do something about it.
So not only is she's gonna be going up on attempted murder, but this as well.
Well, attempted murder is really hard to prove, and so is conspiracy to commit murder. However, parental kidnapping, the whole 9 yards, and my attorney is just useless. I've been begging him, and finally I started demanding that he finish the paternity, because all it takes is a judge's signature. If my ex goes to jail or drops over dead, my mouth to God's ears, my daughter will go to foster care if I'm not adjudicated the father in the state of Missouri. Even though my name's on the birth certificate and she has my last name from Florida. Yeah, bizarre.
What a crock.
Bizarre, yeah. I paid this guy thousands and thousands of dollars, and it's like, finally I've been demanding it, and he gives me snotty messages back.
Like what? Give me some of the examples of his messages.
I said, basically, are you going to answer any of my messages? Are you going to respond to this? And he wrote back, how about now, with an exclamation mark. Okay, this is the guy who also impugned me in his introduction letter to the guardian ad litem, stating that they both like to fight and they both have mental issues, and there's proof. To the guardian ad litem, who's supposed to be unbiased and impartial. However, I don't care if he says that she has 10 horns and is a psychopath, blood-drinking baby eater. That doesn't matter. What he says about me, because he is my attorney, carries weight. Okay? He impugned me to the guardian ad litem, who's supposed to be impartial and unbiased, and he just biased the guardian ad litem.
Sounds like he's dog fucking you, though.
Yeah, he is. He said, well, you seem to like to throw stones at Stacy. And I'm just like, you dumb son of a bitch, if I was throwing stones, I'd be more accurate than this. Okay, these aren't stones, these are crimes.
This guy's just a fucking moron.
Yeah. Well, this is the jackass who couldn't find Stacy for like 7-8 months. I had to track this bitch down myself and tell the court where she was so she could be served with paternity papers. If it wasn't for me, they'd still be going, well, geez, we really don't know where she is, because we're inept. And we're ineffectual, and we're lazy as hell.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know. I just like to back. I wonder how these people they must back up to get their paychecks. I mean, I know, police. My mother was with dispatcher for 15 years, retired dispatcher. My uncle was the chief of police at Delaware for the state police. My father was a special deputy sheriff. Okay, I was going to go into the police force. But, and I've got a lot of friends that are police officers, and I know it's a bitch of a job, okay? Your hands are tied this way and that way. You got must arrest. You got this over here. You get shot up for getting a parking ticket. I get that. Mm-hmm. But when somebody hands you a crime, okay, with full evidence, Here you go. Here they are.
Do something
All,
about
all,
it.
all you have to do is go over there and write it up. What the fuck? You know? What the hell?
We live in a disgusting society, my friend.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter
Now,
what
if
country
it
you're
was
from.
me doing any of those things, because I have a penis, I would be under the goddamn jail. Okay? And you know that too.
Yep.
You know, I'm just like, you know, my attorney is useless. I mean, what more can I do? I got to sue my attorney now? Yeah, she's harassed my friends, my family. She's turned people against me. I mean, you know, these creatures, these narcissistic personalities, are literally. Dr. Sam Bankman has some YouTube videos on it, and there are some other YouTube videos with the cartoon guys, and some of them are on my site that shows you just what these creatures are, and they consider them creatures.
I do.
Because they are less than human beings because they have no empathy whatsoever. And I have had people call me up from all over the damn globe, literally in other countries, male and female alike, because these narcissistic personalities, you know, come in male and female form, but they're worse in the female form because the laws are so crooked. You know, and just like with the CPS stuff, you get one of those narcissistic bastards in there, and you know they won't let go. These people are tenacious, and they'll steal your kid. I mean, it's so disgusting. You know, I've talked with so many hundreds of people about this kind of stuff, and very
Well,
few did I ever find in my situation.
It's because there's a lot more to it than that in a lot of areas and stuff like that. We were talking about that.
Yeah.
Kidnapping bastards.
Well, I mean, there's down in Texas, you got Amy Sharon, where the crazy mother who couldn't handle raising a child, and the stepdad who wound up, you know, he's kind of a wealthy dentist who was appointed by the governor and all this other crap, and because her mom was a crankhead or whatever, she was put in CPS hands and was raised in foster care and stuff like that. She had a child, and her mother swore to her she would get her daughter away from her because she wanted her daughter, and that's what happened. She went through CPS, paid the money, gave him whatever. You know, it happens all the time. It's just like whoever wants your child, if they're willing to pay for it, or if the state's going to give them money, they're going to take your child. Yep. Especially if they're pretty and smart. You know, if they're a cute little baby, they're going to steal them. Because they make big buku money off of this shit. And like I said, thank God CPS is not in my case yet. But, you know, like I said, I was a foster parent. I've seen some of those damn homes, man, where you got these fat pedophiles sitting around and they have these special needs kids so they actually make more money. You know, and they're wallowing in their own feces. They're obviously not being taken care of. You know, these fat bastards that just sit back and house these kids. I mean, these kids that need attention and a kind touch and that need so much just to be held. And they're just using them as a money-making thing. The state makes money off them. The guardian ad litem, everybody that's working with them, like through the judges, all the attorneys, everybody that's passed the bar. You know, the bar association, you know, the people in the bar association, they all make the money. You know, and it's all for state money, you know. And these, I mean, look at Nancy Schaefer. She started uncovering this stuff, and, you know, everybody says, oh, it was a murder-suicide. You know, I really don't think so.
No, because they were both shot in the back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like murder to me, you know.
Well, how do you commit suicide shooting yourself in the back?
Yeah, I looked into that case, and it was just like, you know, it's awful coincidental. Yeah. Actually, too goddamn coincidental for me. You know, and these people are ruthless. It's
That's
like,
not even a conspiracy, man. It's just plain out. Government killed her, man.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, come on, think about it. I mean, Jim Geyer, man, he's, these two, Cass County, one detective, a female detective and a female officer crossed, went like 200 miles out of their way, out of so many jurisdictions across the fucking state line to get this kid back. And before they even left on their journey, they knew that Amber Alert was false.
Mm-hmm.
And the FBI met him with the state police in Iowa, and the FBI came there and said there was no crime, there was no kidnapping, and they left. And these two officers, violating the color of law, federal color of law statute, kidnapped his child, and then his child is still in their hands. Okay, I mean, they will break any law they can. I mean, and people say, well, it's probably just, isolated incidents. Well, no, it's not, because, and now there are some good people in CPS, and there's a lot of good police officers.
They faked documents and everything in Jim's case.
Oh yeah, in Jim's case, all three of us were on the line that one night.
Yeah.
Where he was thinking that this order that CPS gave him after they were in court didn't bother to go through his attorney, but gave him this order with a court number, with an order number, and a whole 9 yards, with their signatures on it, CPS signatures. Mm-hmm. He was thinking that they had gotten custodial jurisdiction or jurisdictional custody over his child. And we sat there and went through this thing. I said, Jim, I'm on CaseNet, Missouri CaseNet. There is no case. There is no order.
It's not
that
even
was
legit.
written out. It was a false order. I mean, and they're pretending to be judges. Okay? And that in itself is prima facie evidence proving that they violated the federal color of law statute.
And it probably, this shows that this isn't the fucking first time that they've done this.
Oh, it's not the first time these people have done it. They're too practiced at it. And it happens in every state, in every county, just about every county.
Do you think the judges are allowing it, though?
But,
Do you think the judges were allowing these paperwork to be done like that?
Well, it didn't go through a judge.
I know, but do you think that they know? But that's why they just let it fly through, because they know it's just business.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Some judges, are crooked. It's just, it just happens. Okay, it's there. It's out there. Not all. There are some judges. There was one down in Texas with that big group, that religious group that had all the kids taken, and she was actually refusing to let CPS take all those children, and we need to get all these judges that are actually acting properly and actually send them letters of praise, because there's way too many judges out there that are crooked, that are getting kickbacks, that are getting thrown off the bench for corruption, the whole 9 yards. We need good judges like that. Okay, so we need to praise the judges that are doing right. But just like
they're getting hard to find, though.
Yeah, they're hard to find, but understand that judges are also members of the Bar Association.
Mm-hmm. And you were explaining that to me earlier.
Yeah.
Bar associations and so on.
Yeah, now the Bar Association in itself is not a crooked enterprise. However, in our modern times, however, you have to understand that most all judges are attorneys, and even some magistrates are attorneys. Mm-hmm. In some states, you don't have to have a Juris Doctorate to pass the bar, but that's few and far between nowadays. Mm-hmm. Let's see. But with Jim's case, it was an absolute violation. I mean, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. It's basically denial of rights under color of law. 18 USC 242, 18 USC 245, and 42 USC 1983. It's basically um, it's attempting to cause a person to do something by telling that person that such action is required by law when it is not required by law may be a felony. 18 USC 242 provides that whoever, under color of any law, statute or ordinance, regulation or custom, willfully subjects any person in the state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured or protection by the Constitution or laws of the United States shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for not more than 1 year or both. 18 USC 245, anyone whoever, whether or not acting under color of law, intimidates or interferes with any person from participating or enjoying any benefit, service, privilege, program, facility, or activity provided or administered by the United States, or applying for enjoying employment or any other prerequisite thereof, emergency. Anyway, that doesn't apply to this particular part. 1983 provides that every person who under color of any statute, ordinance, regulation, custom, or usage of any state or territory or the District of Columbia subjects or causes to be subject any citizen of the United States or other person within the jurisdiction thereof to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured by the Constitution and laws shall be liable to the party injured and an action at law, suit in equity, and other proper proceedings for redress. Basically, you may be in violation of federal law, and persisting with your demand may lead to your arrest and or civil damages, also understanding that the law provides that you can be held personally responsible and liable as well as your company or agency. Well, basically, your public officials like CPS, judges, court officers, police officers, and the like are public officials. They have to have an oath of office, and they are public officials. And what this does, if they are acting in their official capacity, they have immunity from prosecution. However, if they break the law doing so, just like the two officers in Jim Geyer's case, they are they are violating rights guaranteed and listed in our Constitution. Mind you, a right cannot be infringed. They are alienable rights. They can't be changed. They can't be infringed upon. If they violate these rights, what it does is strip them immediately, once they break the law to violate someone's rights, civil rights, that they can be held liable. It strips their immunity from them, specifically judges, police officers, court officers, CPS workers. They are all state officers, and what this does is strips their immunity away and makes them civilly and criminally liable, and their agencies. So basically, you know, this is a federal law. This is not playing around, and this actually is, from my understanding, it carries the same weight. It carries the weight of the United States Attorney General's office, and I've had people tell me that they've used these quite effectively.
You there?
Still here. Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So basically, you know, this state detective walked away from him once he saw what this was, because he realized that, you know, no longer did he have immunity because the guy was breaking the law. And just like in Jim Geyer's, you know, case, and like Amy Sharon had told me that there was this guy who was chasing her down with a car behind her car with a gun hanging out the window and stuff like that. She said death threats. She said all this kind of stuff. She's went to the governor, Governor Perry, Governor Perry's crooked as all get out. He's in with these guys. You know, people get kickbacks all the time.
Fuck.
It's just really disgusting. I mean, and you can't tell me that it's not systemic. It is completely and utterly systemic, and it's the way the rules are put in for the best interest of the child and such like that, and all the rules as far as in laws and statutes and codes, as far as VAWA and all this other stuff. If you're a man, you're just wrong. But the problem with CPS is they do it to women as well. They do it to families. Grandparents can't find their children. They throw these kids in. They adopt them out, and if they can adopt them out, the states get money. I mean, it's just like the criminal stuff. It's just like they have to fill up the jails. They have to get so many kids per month. They have quotas, literally quotas, every month for this stuff.
Well,
They gotta have these kids in, or else they're gonna lose their money.
Or they lose their jobs if they don't have kids coming in.
Yeah, and you know, these people. I don't know if you've ever seen a CPS worker, especially one of the higher ups. They're living large.
Oh fuck!
Okay.
I already have seen them. Yeah. I made my complaints so bad here in Canada that I got to speak with one. Her name was Beth Lane here in Canada, and yeah, she was nice, decked out, nice car. Probably has a really good home too.
And just like with Jim Geyer's case, and all three of us were on Skype, and we I showed him literally, hey, look, dude, this is not a real case. This, any disposition will show up on CaseNet. If it's a final judge's order or anything like that, and it's not there.
So it's not legal, and he should have his kid back. He should have the kid handed back to him immediately.
Right, and these two officers, these two female officers, one of them was a detective for Cass County. Cass County, Missouri. I don't know what the hell you people are doing in Cass County, but it's damn sure not justice. It's not legal when your people cross jurisdictions and across state line and take a child from a father, and knowing that it was a false Amber Alert. That's kidnapping. Okay, I don't care who you are. That's kidnapping. You should be in jail.
Right.
That's all I got to say about that. You should be in jail. But when those CPS workers in Jim's case stooped to trying to fool him by giving this stuff on the way out of court, not going through his attorney, didn't go through a judge, was actually filed in the clerk of the court. Well, anybody could file anything in the clerk of the court. You could actually, you could probably even file a peanut butter sandwich to the clerk of the court, because all they do is stamp stuff and file it. That's their job. Through the court.
That's right.
It was not legal. It was a false judge's order. It wasn't signed by any judge. It wasn't even legal paperwork. Okay? When you have
It was a fraud.
a Child Protective Service agency doing that, oh my God. That is so crooked. I mean, and they are that brazen. I mean, I don't know how these people sleep at night, and I don't know how. They must back up to get their checks, because I don't know any human being on this planet that could face walking up and getting your check knowing what you've done to children like this.
Well, they already had a family ready to sell the kid too in court. They were doing this winking shit. They were telling, or he was telling.
Oh yeah. And the judge was winking at him and all this other stuff, and all
At the foster family.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute. Yeah, you got this little issue of, I don't know.
And his lawyer knows them as well. His lawyer's friends with them as well. His own lawyer is friends with the foster family.
Here's the other thing. Jim is a resident of Iowa. Okay. The mother left Iowa while she was pregnant and had the daughter in Missouri, in Cass County. Right? In Cass County, Missouri, they were kind enough to give Jim a public defender for a custody case. That's unheard of. You only get public defenders or public attorneys, okay, in criminal cases. So basically, I'm like, Jim, this attorney's not your buddy.
It's rigged. It's set up.
He's rigged. He's set up. I mean, you don't get attorneys for non-criminal cases.
Especially when he's aiding the foster family and getting the child and not Jim.
He's aiding the foster family. He's aiding the court. He's aiding the police department. Come on, guys. You've been exposed. Suck it up.
Exactly.
Okay? Own it. Own it before you go to federal prison. Because, you know...
Or before the story grows.
I don't know about you guys, but you know those two female deputies and one detective that took that child across state lines. They're going to be talking to Large Marge the lesbian. Okay?
Oh yeah.
Large Marge is going to love them in prison because you know something? There's a crap load of people behind Jim, and we're national. Mm-hmm. Not only are we national, we have attorneys, we have investigators. We've checked everybody to hell out, and guess what? There's a case being built against you bastards right now that is so airtight and solid, you better start crying now. I suggest you maybe you should just leave your departments and go to Utah somewhere. Because if you stay, you're going to prison. We're going to find you. Because you know something? There are people in this world that are good police officers, that are good investigators, that are good and decent people, that will not stand for this shit, and we are coming together. And we're all gonna eat your lunch. Because in this case, oh my God, Jim's gonna own a part of Missouri.
He will. He's gonna. Oh yeah. I'm sure the beginner is gonna. He's looking at some quite large numbers.
And then when we're done with you.
And it's going to open up a whole Pandora's box.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is ridiculous. Okay. You know, and we're going to make sure that the people that replace you have a soul. Okay? Because there's good police officers, there's good social workers out there, there's good judges that will not bow to this kind of corruption. Because I don't know any police officer or any captain or any commander of any force or any police officer that wants this kind of poison, this kind of cancer that eats up their department, and it grows like a cancer.
It's going to turn the world.
I know it sucks, it's a hard job, but you know something? You don't need to get your money from this kind of shit. Because you know what they do to these children?
What?
They molest them. They sell them for drugs. They have the CPS workers come in and use them as brothels, okay? They torture these children. They sell these children, okay?
I've heard
and that's a fact. That's proven. And this is what you're doing to these children. And you're violating our Constitution that my forefathers and your forefathers fought for. The original Constitution. Everything that we stand for as a nation, everything that our children and our brothers and sisters and fathers are fighting for, you spit on. And we're going to bring you down. And the good officers and the good social workers and the good judges are going to make damn sure you don't ever see the light of day again. So better close up shop now. Because we're coming for you.
And it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's already started.
Goddamn right, we're tired of it. We're not just a couple of people. We're not just a couple of hundred. We're not even a couple thousand. You have no idea what's happening all across the country. Children that come out of CPS hands that are now gaining Juris Doctorates, that are now talking on the Senate floors. Mothers, fathers, grandparents are all joining together, and we will not stand for it because we outnumber you.
That's right.
You know, it's a really sad day when grandmothers have to come together and fight corruption.
It is.
And ripped off and stolen. Their children were stolen. All those years gone. It's a real sad day when we all have to stand up because you wouldn't do your job and you were corrupt and a crooked bastard.
And it's a lot of years.
Yeah, pack it up now. You better admit to everything right now and save your ass. Because if you keep lying,
Even that still
please
ain't gonna save
please
their
do.
ass.
Please do. Please keep covering it up. Because we got more on than you could ever believe. We're all coming for you.
I don't even think covering up's really gonna help them at all.
Yeah, we're coming for you, and we're bringing justice with us. And you're going to stand before a federal grand jury. Yeah. Grand jury.
And it's possible.
And if that doesn't put the fear of God into you, I don't know what will. Because when they're done with you, you're going to stand in front of that jury. That jury of we the people that you are supposed to protect. The children that you were supposed to protect. When you stand in front of that jury, we will have no mercy and no pity for you. And good luck. Good luck with your life after that.
No shit. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna
All right, man.
get this cut up. Is there anything last you want to say to anybody else? Other
Yeah,
than
well, it was just too bad that Jim couldn't be on because of the background stuff. But
I know I wanted him on.
you know, but I mean, we kind of went over his case, but it's bullshit. I mean, there are so many families affected by this shit. I mean, it's not particularly my case, but you know, hey, I've seen the bad side of it, and it's something that's so wrong. You know, I'm not gonna make poppies and you know. Send them to the veterans because they don't need poppies, okay? I mean, yeah, they need, you know. And here's another thing before we get off. There's a lot of guys, a lot of people, a lot of guys coming back from the wars or whatever the hell they're called, police actions, whatever, Afghanistan, everything. They're coming back, and they're coming back to their kids being taken. They're coming back to, you know, people giving the Dear John letters, and you know, they're branded criminals because they haven't paid child support because they went back to a theater, and they come back and they're criminals. They can't see their kids. You know, they're like, oh well, they're just killing themselves because of the PTSD shit. No, it's not that. It's not all that. I mean, what are we fighting for? Our children. So our children won't have to fight. When we come back to this kind of crap with CPS involved and all this other stuff, and you know, taking the kids and disappearing, you know, and nobody will do anything. What do you do? I mean, I've got some stuff on my site, some videos on my site about several people that have committed suicide. You know, I mean, there's so many people that we've lost because of this stuff. Good people that saw no other way out. You know, taking their kids for no reason whatsoever, no substantiated reason, no rational reason, and there's no rational reason that I don't care what you've done unless it's something extremely horrible to a child. Okay, that you could have your parental rights severed completely without even a second shot.
No shit.
Okay, without having any contact whatsoever. You know,
It's happening.
and let me tell you, these kids realize everything. They know it, and they grow up. Well, a lot of them already grown up, you know, and they're tired of it. We're all getting together, and
That's what we should be doing.
we're gonna put an end to this shit.
And I'm with you.
Yeah, we're having a national protest. I'd like to mention that real quick before we get off. It's a national protest. It's government abuse is child abuse. It's happening 8, 12, 11 all over the United States, all at once. All groups are welcome to attend, and we are all standing up. I mean, everybody, from Fathers for Justice, everybody. All the groups are standing up at once, in mass. Doesn't cost to join. Bring your own banner. Show up in a costume, whatever you want. If you've got a problem with the family court, stand the hell up. If you've got a problem with CPS, stand the hell up. So they can see our numbers. And for every member we have, there's 1,000 of us that aren't there because of one thing or another. But we need to stand up all over the United States. And it's happening 8/12/2011. and it's called govabuse.org. And you can link on my site, link on my Facebook with Nancy Ralph, a bunch of other guys. I can't remember them offhand. Jim Geyer, Nancy Rolfe, and a bunch of others were. I mean, this thing is going all over the place. Even Canada and the UK is having sympathetic rallies as well at the same date.
That's right.
It's no egos, no nothing. Whatever group you're with, stand up with us. Stand up, because we're from all different groups. We have no banner. We're just all standing up because we're tired of it.
I'm there.
And it's going to stop. Rock on, man.
I'm there.
Govabuse.org.
Right on. I'll make sure to add those links to under the video. Send me some more information you want me to put under there while I'm editing.
Oh, I will, brother.
Okay, and thanks a lot, buddy.
Hey, no problem.
Hello again, welcome back to Stolen. I'm JD, and I just want to get straight to the next guy, so I'm just gonna.
The other therapist. Well, nice lady, I might add. And so I tried. You do the psyche eval. I mean, I tried everything I could do to get it done. I've got it all on recording. I just can't get it to the PDF file.
It covered my children. Not having any communication. It infringed on my rights. Everything. So anyways, I found out that my Facebook was deleted, my emails were deleted. At 9 years, everything gone. There was nothing. I mean, she deleted me. She erased me everywhere I looked. I was disappearing, like history, all my paperwork, everything I had, things gone, but most important, my children. My son was my best buddy. My oldest son was playing video games. I could sit in the park with no one to see dad. He stayed home on the computer. Called the lawyer. And I had to return back on the ground. Changed my court order. The court order had to be changed back to Ontario because I had no contact with anybody in Quebec. I went to legal aid that same day. The appointment was set. When I arrived at legal aid, the guy was so ignorant and rude to me. He didn't even want to listen to me. He didn't even change. Look at the court order. Oh, you live in Ontario. You're not a resident of Quebec anymore. Sorry, we can't help you. Refuse. He denied me the criminal legal certificate. He found me as a family right and the civil that I needed.
Now the reason why I did that is because there's a whole throwdown, showdown about what someone says on Facebook. They can use against you in court so you don't get your kid back. It's bullshit. I was pretty much telling this guy the same thing. He's bullshit. He's not in agreement with his phone call being recorded. Well, buddy, could be a freaking legalized kidnapper and taking our freaking kids away. They're just really sick. Yeah, those groups are good, yeah. These little fake little community groups. Yeah, they're pretty sick. Those things go around.